25th June 2025. It's not just another day of protest. It's proof that Kenyans are still willing to show up even when it's dangerous to care out loud in this country. A lot happened during the last finance bill protests. So many Kenyans lost their precious lives. And for what? Over finance bill. The finance bill that the president ultimately decided to back down on. Pointless. Loss of life. Precious lives. Mothers crying over their lost children. Fathers wondering who is to help them provide for their families after they have lost their sons. It was such a harrowing period, seeing how police were mishandling Kenyans on the streets. Some of them even being involved in these brutal murders. Kenyans on the streets who are just out exercising their democratic right to protest, to picket. It's not a crime to do that. Notices were sent to the police notifying them of these protests to be carried out. The police's role is to facilitate these protests, to provide protection and security. But they never do that in this country. Police are always up in arms, throwing tear gas, shooting in the air, sometimes even shooting directly at protesters instead of protecting them. It's quite unfortunate. So many lives are lost. According to the Kenyan Human Rights Commission, I think just over 60 lives were lost during last year's protest. I'm not sure of the figure, but it's around 60 or thereabouts. Those are so many lives lost at the hands of our policemen. And unfortunately, the investigating body, IPOA, is not doing much in terms of investigating these police brutalities. To date, we've not seen any concrete action that has been taken leading to a police officer being held properly accountable. I'm aware there are inquests still ongoing. It's my hope that justice will see the light of day and that the government is not going to interfere with these inquests and these proceedings before our courts of law. The mothers, the fathers, the brothers, the sisters who lost their siblings during the finance bill protest, they all want to see the relevant parties brought to book. So many people were abducted. Some of them turned up dead, some of them turned up later injured, harassed, tortured by the police. Quite unfortunate. 25th June 2025 is also another day to remember these lives that were lost during last year's protests. They mean something. Their cause meant something. They are not forgotten. They lost their lives while trying to raise their voice, while trying to exercise their democratic right of expressing themselves. It's unfortunate they lost their lives. Kenyans went out there on the streets, including myself, just to remember these fallen soldiers, remember these fallen heroes who lost their lives while just trying to raise their voice. Quite unfortunate. Our Constitution of Kenya 2010 does not allow us to suffer in silence. It has provisions, Article 37, which allow us to raise questions to the government. The Constitution as drafted was never meant to sit idle as Kenyans die. The Constitution allows Kenyans to gather, to come together and to say, this isn't working for us and we deserve better. And the leaders have a corresponding duty to listen to that voice and act accordingly. Remember Article 1 of the Constitution of Kenya says, all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya. All that power belongs to the people of Kenya collectively. Our elected leaders are just vessels who are elected there to exercise these rights on behalf of the people. Unfortunately, a good chunk of them are not doing this properly. So Kenyans have a right to come out on the streets to protest and to demonstrate and to hold their leaders to account. We elected you to do A, B, C, and D, but you're not living up to expectations. Kenyans have a right to ask these difficult questions. They have a right not to be threatened, not to be shot at, not to be tear gassed when they go out on the streets to exercise these democratic rights, which are guaranteed under the Constitution of Kenya 2010. So these constitutional rights were written with days like this in mind. I've just seen something this morning on the news, media being gagged in direct contravention with Article 34 of the Constitution of Kenya, which guarantees the freedom of the media. for them to report. Of course, they have their own guidelines in terms of reporting, but for the Communications Authority of Kenya to come out and say that live broadcasting of demos is not allowed by media houses, that was so wrong, and it curtails the rights of the media in terms of Article 34 of the Constitution, which guarantees the freedom of the media. The state is not allowed to intervene when it is inconvenient for them. What is it that the state is trying so hard not to want the general masses to see on TV, but not to allow the whole of the world to see live on TV? It doesn't even help much, because in this age, when we have also social media, it's really hard to curtail the word from getting out there. We still have Twitter, we still have Facebook, we still have YouTube, we still have TikTok. People can live stream these things and see. And I totally encourage Kenyans, live stream, share, especially now that the government has decided to curtail the freedom of the media. Share these things, let other Kenyans see what is happening out there. Share, talk, call each other, take care of each other. Let the world know what is happening in this country. And when it's all said and done, we won't just remember the signs and the placards that we carry during the demos. We won't just remember the tear gas that were thrown at us while we were trying to demonstrate and picket. We won't just remember the sounds of the gunshots being shot in the air, some being shot at us. We'll remember that we didn't stay quiet. We never stayed quiet. We left a record. Because one day our children are going to ask us, what did you do when it mattered? What did you do? Let the record bear us. Let the history bear us record. Let history show what we did. Let history show that we came out in large numbers to demonstrate, to protect not only our rights, but to protect the future rights of our children. These are how democracies are built. These are how some of these first world countries came up. These are some of the painful and slow processes that they had to endure for them to enjoy some of the privileges that they're enjoying right now. So when our children ask us some of these tough questions, let the history bear us record that we never stayed quiet, we went all out, and we fought hard for our own rights and for their future rights, so that they can live in a much, much better world we are living in currently. Let's also use this moment to remind our leaders that the Constitution was never meant to be a moment of silence. The Constitution is a living document. It imposes rights on Kenyans, and it imposes corresponding obligations on them as leaders to take care of the Kenyan people, to exercise the sovereign power of the Kenyan people that is given to them in the most appropriate and best way possible. They should remember when they are in the Senate, in Parliament, they are there to represent the people and not their own selfish interests or their own political interests. So let's keep fighting for what is right. Let's keep fighting for the rule of law in this country. Let's keep holding our leaders accountable. Let's keep holding our police accountable. Let's keep holding our president accountable so that we can create the best possible environment for ourselves and for our future children.